Hey everybody! Today we are actually going to be planting outside. We're going to be direct sowing some spring seeds, and today we're going to be doing beets and carrots. So join me in this fun planting video. This year we're going to be planting our beet seeds in these containers, and I always like to put some of these compost tea bags in all of my potted plants. They just make compost tea. They look like tea bags, but there's compost inside, and you bury it inside of the dirt, and it gives your plants lots of nutrients, just like if you used compost. So that's what we're going to do first. I think that all I really have is those two, so that'll have to be enough for today. And I put two more things on all of my crops. I always do a sprinkle of blood meal and a sprinkle of bone meal. Blood meal is really good for nitrogen, which is good for green leafy growth, and bone meal is good for potassium, which is good for roots. Since beets are a root crop, we definitely want to emphasize the bone meal, but blood meal is still important because the beets, they get their energy from their leaves, so they do need to have nice big leaves so that they can make enough energy for the actual bulb and the root. So I'm not very scientific about this. I just sprinkle. I don't even know how much I put on each one. And after I've got both of those applied, I just gently rake it in with my gloved hand. All right, there we go. Get rid of some of these leaves. Okay, now I'm real scientific. I'm going to use a little stick from the mulch to make my holes for my seeds. So each hole is going to get about 3 seeds. And with beets, you do not need to even thin them. They actually like to grow up in clusters. So let's see, I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 holes. So that's what I'm going to do with each of these pots. I'm going to make 8 holes. They're roughly, I would say, 2 inches away from each other on either side. Don't want them too close. If they're too close, then the beets won't actually have any space to get big. Okay, let's go get our seeds. Alright, here's my little container for my beet seeds. I've got all my seed packets in here. So I think this year we're going to do some bull's blood. And Detroit dark red. We'll do some of each. I didn't make the holes very deep, just big enough to fit them in there, not very deep. And about 2 to 3 seeds for each hole. I find that beets are pretty easy to grow, but I never start them inside. I always wait until a little bit later and go ahead and direct sow them out in the garden, just because anything that's a root crop, anything that you're going to be harvesting for its roots, I wouldn't suggest transplanting, because when you transplant a plant, you run the risk of, and it's very likely, that you're going to cause some damage to the roots. And if the whole reason why you're growing that plant is to harvest the roots, you don't want to damage the roots. You want those roots to be as best as possible. So that's why I never transplant my beets. I always wait just a little bit longer. It's okay, you don't have to wait until there's no frost at all in the nights. You just want to notice that it's starting to warm up a little bit. The nights still can definitely get down into the 30s, and the beets will be just fine. So I did these front two with the bull's blood, and then I'm going to do the back two with the Detroit dark red. Beet seeds are kind of funny looking. They kind of remind me of like tiny little pieces of granola or honey bunches of oats. They look like little clusters of oatmeal to me. And I've always thought they look kind of funny. Got one more pot to do. Now, on the seed packet, it will actually say that these beets will not take very long to reach maturity, and you will probably find out that once you've reached however many days it says on the packet, your beets are still pretty small. And that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that if you want the real big ones, you know, like softball size beets, you really just need to leave them in the ground longer. I plant my beet seeds in the spring. Right now it is March 14th, and I probably won't harvest these, the actual beets themselves. Now I'll harvest some greens over the summer, but I probably won't harvest these beets for processing because I pickle them all. I won't harvest them until probably late summer, really. At least August, maybe even September. And I really just go by the size of them. We like our beets nice and big so that we can get big slices for our pickled beets. And once these are nice and mature, by the end of springtime, by the end of summertime, when I am ready to pickle them, I'll go ahead and make a video on that and show you how to pickle beets, because we love pickled beets. Anyway, so now we've got all of our beet seeds planted, so let's give them some water and then we'll move on to the carrot seeds. Okay, now we're ready to plant the carrot seeds. I like to plant my carrot seeds in these big, deep pots. You see how deep they are? And I like to plant them in pots as opposed to in the ground because for carrots, you really need some soft, loose soil to grow in. And just where I am here, there's too many roots and too many lumps. So I find that if I just grow in potting soil, my carrots turn out nice and straight and big and beautiful. So let's get started on planting the carrots. First, we're going to put our fertilizer in. So I'm going to do some blood meal and some bone meal, just like with the beets. And I don't have any more of the compost tea bag, but that's okay. These will still do just fine without them. Okay. Now I'm just going to rake it in to the top with my gloved hand. Okay, so now we are ready to open our seed packets and see what kind of seeds we have. I've got my little container for my seed packets. Okay, so since we have 3 pots, I'm going to do 3 different varieties this year. I have Little Fingers, Danvers 126, and Scarlet Nantes. They're all pretty much the same. They're all an orange carrot. The Little Fingers are just a little bit shorter. Hi! So, I don't know if you've ever planted carrot seeds before, but carrot seeds are so tiny. They are one of the smallest seeds out there, and they're known for how small they are. So with carrot seeds, you don't even need to dig any holes. Just broadcast them evenly on the top of the dirt. And carrots are also known for poor germination rates, so don't be shy, because all of these seeds will not germinate. But you want to plant enough seeds that you'll definitely get enough carrots. Okay, and last one. Alright, so I should probably label these, but I haven't made any labels, so hopefully I remember which is which. So now that we've got all of our seeds broadcasted, you do want to make sure that they make good contact with the soil. So what I'm going to do is just pat down all across the dirt so that we get good soil to seed contact. They're so tiny, they don't even need to be buried. We're just going to pat the soil down as I said before, carrots are notorious for poor germination. They take a long time to germinate, and they're very finicky and picky about drying out. So you don't want to wait too long until it gets too warm to plant your seeds, but you also don't want to do it too early. Right about the same time as you plant your beets. Once the nights start getting a little bit warmer, out of the 20s, I would say, then you can go ahead and plant your carrot seeds. But they will take a long time to germinate. They will take 2 to 3 weeks. So just have patience and have faith. Keep them moist, and eventually they will come up. One trick that I like to use is I like to cut out little circles of cardboard, and I put it right on top of my soil. Some people who don't plant in pots and they just plant in the ground, they'll use a board. That does the same job. What we're trying to do with this cardboard or a 2x4 on top of wherever you planted your seeds, what we're trying to do is keep in the moisture. We don't want the soil to dry out, because if it does, the seeds will die. And we don't even really need to check on it. And by check on it, I mean lift up the cardboard. We don't even need to check on it until maybe a week and a half from now, because they're going to take a long time to sprout. Then after a week and a half to 2 weeks, you should start looking and checking, because once those sprouts start coming up, then you do want to take your cardboard or your wooden plank up, because those sprouts are going to need the sunlight. So that's it for the carrots. We're just going to give them some water, and you can water them just like this. You don't have to take this cardboard up. In fact, the cardboard will help protect them from the water washing them away and moving them around. So it's best just to water them like this with the cardboard. And like I said, they will take a long time to even start germinating. You just have to be patient, and they'll come up. And then after they start coming up, the carrots and the beets, you really want to cover them. Cover those baby seedlings, because squirrels, deer, raccoons, any kind of animal like that loves to eat the little baby greens, and you don't want them to have your baby greens and kill your baby plants. So you want to cover them up either with a mesh or a cloth, whatever you can come up with that will cover them up, protect them from animals, but then also let the sunlight come through to feed your plants with the sunlight once they have leaves. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, leave a comment and let me know what you think. And good luck growing your carrots and your beets, and I'll see you next time. Bye!